This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk, Sports Talk Media Network here on a Founders Federal Football Friday night. We have reached into the eastern portions of the state of North Carolina. We're over here in Kinston, North Carolina, just down the road from Greenville, North Carolina, where tomorrow at noon it'll be South Carolina against East Carolina, 12 o'clock kickoff on ESPN2. And it is a big matchup. Well, it's a big matchup for both teams. It's a big matchup in this part of the world. They are very excited about having the Gamecocks in town. They love when a Power 5 team comes to Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium because they believe they've got a big old trap set for that team that comes in with its nose up in the air, a little bit snooty because East Carolina gets no respect from nobody, even though they are a good football program over the decades. A little bit down, Mike Houston trying to bring them back up, but they've had good football teams over the years. They've had physical football teams, and they're going to give South Carolina their best shot tomorrow. South Carolina had better be on its best game because they're going to need it tomorrow. This will not by any means be easy or a walkover. Vegas has been confused about what to do with this game, favor East Carolina, then switch to the Gamecocks. Whatever the case may be, it's nearly a pick-em line, so it's very, very tight. And who will be the Gamecock quarterback? You know, Chuck Reedy said last night, from what he'd been hearing, what he'd been told, it looked to him like it was going to be Zeb Nolan once again, but we'll have to wait and see what happens when they trot out tomorrow morning over in Greenville, North Carolina. Will it be Nolan once again for his second start, or will Luke Doty be healthy enough and ready to go? Did he get enough work this week? Is he confident enough in the foot where he can do everything he needs to do, et cetera, without thinking about it? And will he be the guy that starts? We'll have to wait and see what comes of that tomorrow. So we'll talk more about that coming up tonight here on the program. Take your phone calls, get your thoughts on that game. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number right here on Sports Talk gets you through. You want to take a stab at picking the game, share a prediction with us. I'm going to go with the Gamecocks. I'm going to go with them laying the points. Of course, they had a big offensive outing last week against Eastern Illinois. I look for them to run the football and run the football well tomorrow. Appalachian State did just that against East Carolina in its win in Charlotte. So I look for the Gamecocks to do more of the same. They'll have Kevin Harris to add to the backfield as well. So I'm going to roll with the Gamecocks here. I'm going to roll with them 35-21. 35-21, South Carolina over East Carolina tomorrow. Meantime, up in the Valley, of course, I have not seen a line on that Clemson-South Carolina State game. I imagine you can probably find one that's in the 50s. If South Carolina was laying 43 to Eastern Illinois, I got to believe the odds makers have Clemson laying 50 or more against South Carolina State tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock up at Death Valley. A lot of other football around the state tomorrow. We'll be talking about that. Things got started this weekend last night in Columbia with Benedict beating Edward Waters to go to 2-0, 44-3 was that final score. The Tigers jumped out to a 14-3 lead, and they never let up. They added 16 points in the fourth quarter to win handily. Another good offensive outing, 158 rushing yards for Benedict, 370 through the air. So they had a 478-yard game. Eric Phoenix, quarterback, 11 of 18 for 292 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also rushed for a touchdown and 41 yards. Darius Philon had 4 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown. So they go to 2-0 under Coach Chennis Berry as he's off to a 2-0 start in his coaching career. Now we turn our attention to Conway. where Coastal Carolina is a 26.5-point favorite tonight at home against Kansas. Kansas's president actually flew into this game on a private jet. That's how big this game is for Kansas with their new coach. And, of course, for Coastal Carolina hosting a Power 5 team for the first time in its history with a packed house on hand, you know it's a big game for them. There on the scene as part of the broadcast crew for the Chanticleers is our man, Chris Bergen. He joins us live from Carolina right now here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, son. How are you?
Philip, I am well, my friend. And you talked about East Carolina loves to lay in wait for Power 5 programs to come in because they don't believe they get very much respect, even in the Carolinas where they should, because they have been a good program for a long, long time. This is a first here at Coastal. You pointed out first ever Power 5 program coming in here to Conway. It's not the first sort of big name program to play here. Of course, you'll remember the, last year, the crazy game that got put together midweek during COVID. Game day showed up here. Here came BYU. Terrific finish there. Huge crowd was on hand for what turned out to be one of the best games of the year. So Coastal has stepped up to the challenge before, but this is a little different because this was on the schedule for last year. They actually flip-flopped the game. So Coastal went back to Lawrence, Kansas, won again. They're undefeated against KU. They've beaten them twice. They'd love to finish off a three-game series with a big win here tonight. I've heard a lot about the line in the press box. A lot of folks believe that may be too many points for the Chanticleers to cover, but this is a team that rolled up 600 yards of total offense last week, albeit against an FCS program in the Citadel. But Phil, in the postgame, Grayson McCall, Coastal's outstanding quarterback, was asked, is that sort of your goal? And they anticipate being able to put up 600 yards of total offense on everybody they play. And presumably that means tonight as well against Kansas. It is a whiteout here at Coastal. They're just starting to let some of the fans come in. Could not have scripted a better weather night. Temperature is going to be in the upper 70s when we kick things off at 7:30 tonight. It'll drop through the 70s. So for the Grand Strand second weekend of September to have back-to-back games where the temperature did not get out of the 80s, we must be living right down here, my friend, because we don't normally get this kind of weather this early in the football season for sure.
I agree. It's going to make for a great night for football, high school football, and college football. Once again, Coastal Carolina, the team that's playing all over the map in terms of the calendar. Thursday night last time, Friday night this time. Down the road, a Wednesday night game. I know they'll be glad. Their fans will be glad to have a Saturday when they can do the full tailgating and all that. Let me ask you this: what are they expecting from this Kansas team with their new head coach who comes in with an excellent reputation, Lance Leipold? And, this is a Kansas team, a program in disarray after the way things ended with Les Miles. What are they expecting?
Talked to the Kansas radio guys a little bit earlier this afternoon, Phil. The one thing he stressed is Lance Leipold understands what he's gotten into. So he has really gone back and sort of tried to take the program and break the foundation down to the studs and clearly rebuild. I mean, this Kansas, we've talked constantly about the job Shane Beamer's got to do in turning the Gamecocks' fortune back around in terms of a rebuild. It is nothing in comparison to what Kansas and Lance Leipold has to deal with. I mean, coming off the Les Miles debacle, where his past transgressions, if you will, at LSU finally caught up with him at Kansas. And they just have not been a very good football team for a long, long time in a pretty decent football league. Of course, they're a basketball school. And so basically what the Kansas guys were telling us is that Lance Leipold has come in and really sort of clamped the reins down on this football team, really got disciplined with the squad. And from all indications, that worked well for that football team. They all responded well. So not real sure what we're going to see out of them. They've got an offense that struggled a little bit against South Dakota last week, barely was able to pull out a win. We'll find out a lot more about, I think, both of these teams, but maybe even more so out of Kansas tonight against a really good Coastal defense that returns virtually all of its starters from last year and an offense that can move it up and down the field in a hurry. Kansas will be challenged. Of course, they lost one of their top defensive backs from a year ago. We all know the story about Karan Prunty. Here's a young man that was an All-American as a freshman at Kansas, jumped in the transfer portal, ended up at South Carolina. For whatever reason, it didn't work in Columbia. It went back into the transfer portal. So I think Kansas may be as much an unknown as anybody on Coastal schedule this year. So, but I just don't know that they have the offensive weapons to keep up with Coastal point for point here tonight. They're probably going to have to get some help from a team last year that was a plus 13 in the turnover margin that normally doesn't help you out.
All right, very good. And of course, we're saying that this is the first Power 5 team to ever play in Conway, but, and I guess technically that's correct, BYU played there last year. Now,
Right.
in the future, BYU will be a Power 5 team because they're moving to the Big 12. That was announced today. UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, and Houston are headed to the Big 12. And so, I mean, all of a sudden they go from being, oversights in college football and not really, of course, UCF and Cincinnati have improved their programs in recent years big time. BYU's been around. BYU's been a big time football program. They've got a national championship to their name. So they've been a big time football program. They've got a big stadium. They pack their stadium. They recruit nationally. I mean, they've been stuck in a so-called non-Power 5 league or leagues over all these years, but they are a Power 5 type program. But now they will, and these other three schools will carry the labels of Power 5 teams because they're moving into the Big 12 that had to do something after losing Texas and Oklahoma.
But it's interesting, too, because the American is losing 4 teams, or at least 3 teams, rather, not BYU withstanding, but the other 3 teams you pointed out in Central Florida, Cincinnati, and Houston. Well, the immediate question is, all right, since those dominoes fell from the American over to the Big 12, who fills the shoes in the American, which I think everybody would agree is probably the best, if not the best, maybe the second best G5 league in the country. So does the American start dipping into the Sun Belt Conference and maybe look at a team like Coastal Carolina? Certainly, I think Appalachian State might fit that bill to get into the state of North Carolina. How about Louisiana and the job Billy Napier has done with that football program? So once these dominoes start falling, Phil, you never know where your school might ultimately land. I mean, we could be sitting here a year from now, 2 years from now, talking about Coastal leaving the Sun Belt about as quickly as it entered to go into the American to fill a spot left by Houston, of all teams.
Are you hearing any rumblings like that? We talked about that the other night on Sports Talk as a possibility. Though the Sun Belt commissioner came out with a statement today praising his league, and maybe he's trying to fire that first shot across the bow at his people by saying, "Hey, wait a minute, we're already the best non-Power 5 league out there in football. Don't you even consider going somewhere else?"
Well, they've certainly got 3 teams right now. If you just take the last couple of years, you certainly have 3 teams in Louisiana and Appalachian State have sort of been the bell cows of that league for the past several years. And now with the emergence of Coastal, you've got some solid footing up top. You've got Georgia State in Atlanta. That's as good a recruiting hub as anywhere in the Southeast. So they've got some solid programs, and I think the Sun Belt may need to be proactive as opposed to reactive, which is what happened to the Big 12, and now what appears to be happening to the American. So, Keith Gill, who's the relatively new commissioner of the Sun Belt, I think has his work cut out for him to make sure that his league stays stable through all this reshuffling in terms of conference expansion.
Well, let me mention, you might not be aware of this, but here in Eastern North Carolina, it is Free Boot Friday. Don't exactly know what free boot means. Free Boot Friday. They're going to have a big pep rally in Greenville, North Carolina at about 7 o'clock. Mike Houston's going to be out there to speak, the head coach. And so my point in bringing this up is they're getting all geared up. Now, the AD at East Carolina told his board of trustees yesterday he's looking at a crowd of about 40,000 plus, which is not capacity. Capacity is 50,000. So, of course, they could have a nice walk up and the rest of those tickets could be picked up. But my point is they're doing the big pep rally. They've got the coach coming out to talk to the crowd. Maybe they do that all the time. I don't know. But certainly for their first home game and the fact that South Carolina is the visitor, they're doing everything they can to get everybody pumped up and ready to go tomorrow.
Well, it's funny. Shane Beamer actually mentioned during his weekly press conference back on Tuesday, he had been told, now whomever told him this, we don't know, but he was told that this is the biggest home game in the history of East Carolina football. Now, you and I debated whether or not that was coaching hyperbole, but given the circumstances that you talk about tonight of what they're doing, they're certainly putting their best foot forward to this being one of, if not the biggest, one of the top 2 or 3 biggest home games for them. It'd be funny if the Gamecocks go up there and just win by that margin that you pointed out earlier. I think it might be a touch closer than 14. I think South Carolina does win because I think they'll be able to control the clock, especially with their ground attack. But if South Carolina goes up and spoils that, what are you telling your team going to the rest of the season? Well, you just collapsed on our biggest home game of the year. So do the fans lose faith in you? That's why, you can't put so much on one ball game. Whereas if you don't win that game, it's almost like East Carolina's sort of putting their entire season. I realize it's a non-conference game for them, but they're putting a lot on the line tomorrow for their team to go out and play well at noon.
You're talking about beautiful weather for your game tonight. For us tomorrow here in eastern North Carolina, a temperature of 82 degrees and a low of 62 on Saturday night.
Wow.
So, of course, the fans will be cleared out by then, but it's going to be beautiful. Before we let you go, looking at our picks, our Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge, you're off to a 2-3 start as a rookie, not bad. And looking at what you're taking the Gamecocks, you're taking Pitt, laying the 3 at Tennessee. You're taking NC State, laying the 2 at Mississippi State. You're taking Kentucky, laying the 5 at home against Missouri. And you're taking Coastal. You're taking Coastal to cover the 26.5.
It's a huge number. Now, I do want to say one thing about the Gamecocks game last week. I blame Jordan Burch, because if he doesn't have that terrific interception and pick 6, then Carolina would not have covered. So I would have been right. So that's on Jordan Burch as much as anything. But, yeah, I think, and this goes back to the reasons I mentioned a few minutes ago, I don't see how Kansas can keep up point for point here tonight. Their offense isn't nearly explosive enough right now. 3-4 years down the road, maybe. And it's certainly, I don't know that they're going to be able to move the football enough against Coastal. And I just don't see them being able to stop Coastal to prevent Coastal from getting a 3-4 touchdown lead. And so I think I realize it's a huge number, but I think Coastal will cover here tonight.
All right. I'll go over the rest of the picks here in a moment, but thank you, Chris. You guys have a great call tonight on your network there at Coastal Carolina. Enjoy the football game. You'll be back with us on the Scoreboard Show tonight to give us details. And we will talk to you then. Thank you much.
Sounds good, Phil. Enjoyed it. Have fun in Greenville.
Thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. Chris Bergen with us from down at Coastal Carolina. Let's go to the break, and we'll come back and give you the rest of our picks. Our Palmetto Pigskin Challenge for this season is off to for some of us, it's off to a stumbling, bumbling start, the Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge. But for others, especially 2 of our guys, they did quite well last week. We'll give you all the details on that. Football filibuster coming up 6:35 with the governor and the AG. Lee Sterling picks near the top of the hour. Oh, Clemson got a 2023 football commitment from a speedy receiver. We'll tell you about that too.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut, and for me, high school football Friday nights in the Palmetto State are electric, and I want to know how all the teams in the state are doing. For that, I turn to scfootballstats.com. I've used scfootballstats.com for years as a resource, so I have all the scores and schedules right at my fingertips. And so can you. Never hunt for scores, standings, or rankings again. scfootballstats.com delivers weekly updates right to your inbox. Everything from your favorite teams, including Skiza, all in one place. Fan subscriptions are just $25 for a full season of access. Head over to scfootballstats.com right now for a free trial. That's scfootballstats.com.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110 to find a vaccine location near you.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Hunting season is upon us. Major Downer, how do we stay safe?
Smitty, that's a great question. Mistaken for game is the leading cause of hunting accidents each year. So this year, DNR is encouraging everyone to wear hunter orange and use a flashlight when traveling to and from your hunting location in low light. Remember, be safe, be seen.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
Ordinarily, we'd have David Shelton with us here at this point on a Friday night, but David is dealing with a phone issue wherever he is located tonight, and thus we're not connecting with him right now. Hopefully, by the time we have the high school scoreboard show tonight, he will be with us. We need him. We need him desperately for the high school scoreboard show because he is the star of the high school football scoreboard show. I just drive the car. He is the star. Meantime, let me remind you that our phone number, 888-898-2525, that's our South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number into Sports Talk on this Founders Federal Friday. Did you know that since 2002, more than $160 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund SC Hope scholarships for the state's college-bound students? Learn about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. By the way, for those of you along the Grand Strand, our man Matt Smith will be on the call tonight for Myrtle Beach High School football. So you can catch Smitty on the air. Myrtle Beach is playing Oceanside Collegiate tonight, and they're playing that game at Johnson Haygood Stadium in Charleston. So you can catch Smitty on the call, those of you who can pick up the broadcast of Myrtle Beach High School there in the Grand Strand. That'll be on, of course, later on tonight. As far as some of the other top matchups around the state tonight in high school football, of course, we've got COVID issues all across the state. Once again, it looks like there'll be 40 or so postponed/canceled games. Still, we still have plenty of good matchups and plenty of good games tonight across the state. And we'll have all the scores for you at 10:05 tonight on the Founders Federal High School football scoreboard. But some of the top matchups involving ranked teams in 5A tonight, Gaffney is going to be taking on Mallard Creek of North Carolina. Mallard Creek is always good. How about Ridgeview? Going to play down in class, but going to play a tough team. Ridgeview, undefeated, ranked number 5, is going to play at Gray Collegiate, which is number 2 in 2A. Gray Collegiate 3-0. That's a really good matchup there. Burns is going to go to Westside. Burns is 2-1. Westside has not won, but has had a couple of very close losses. How about Chapin, number 8 in 5A, playing at Newberry tonight? Another good matchup there. 4A, AC Flora, ranked number 1, will play Lower Richland tonight. Lower Richland is up to number 9 in 3A and is 3-0, having a great start on the year. Myrtle Beach will be playing its first game. I mentioned they'll be playing at Oceanside, and that'll be their first game of the year. They've had like 3 games postponed or canceled because of the COVID stuff. South Point, 2-0, is going to play in Shelby, North Carolina. Good matchup there. And let's see, what else jumps out me here? May River, which is 2-0, will play at Wade Hampton, which is 2-0 in the 2A class. In 3A football tonight, looking at some of the games, Daniel has picked up a game at Hendersonville, North Carolina. Daniel, the number 1 team in 3A. Chapman is going to play at Brooklyn Casey. Brooklyn Casey is number 5 in 3A, and Chapman is number 3. We've got Chester at Northwestern, 3A, going up to play a 5A there. That's a good matchup. Let's see. Gilbert and Hartsville. Gilbert's 1-1. Hartsville is 0-2, but you know Hartsville is always a tough battle there. And in 2A, we've got Silver Bluff playing Fox Creek. It's St. Joseph's at Christ Church. And we've got, by the way, last night, Southside Christian beat Greer. Southside Christian, number 1 in 1A, goes and beats Greer, which is a 4A school. Big win there. Also in 1A tonight, Lamar will play at Timberland. We've got Lakeview at Fairmont of North Carolina. Teams are looking for games anywhere they can find them. Football filibuster coming up after the break.
One of country music's hottest acts, Craig Morgan, is coming to the capital city and the Big Red Barn's Fall Jam. Sunday at Segra Park, October 9th, Craig Morgan, brought to you by Sonic Drive-In and Michelob Ultra. Tickets on sale now at the Big Red Barn Retreat.org or at the ballpark box office.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters. On the on-again, off-again ban imposed by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis to prevent mandating masks for Florida school students is back in force. The First District Court of Appeal ruled Friday that a Tallahassee judge should not have lifted an automatic stay 2 days ago that halted enforcement of the mask mandate ban. The upshot is that the state could resume its efforts to impose financial penalties on the 13 Florida school boards currently defying the mask mandate ban. The U.S. Department of Education has begun a grant program for school districts that lose money for implementing anti-coronavirus practices such as mandatory masks. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 271 points, the NASDAQ dropped 132, the S&P 500 dropping by 34. More details at srnnews.com.
And you ever notice there's a lot of foundation repair companies in the Midlands? Well, I asked my guys at TerraTech about this. Seems like 80% of the homes end up with foundation issues in the Midlands. It's just the soil around here. So how do you pick the right foundation company if you think you're having an issue? I always start by thinking local. I mean, think local always. Your home is your biggest financial investment. You want someone who's been here a while and isn't going anywhere for a while. And that's TerraTech. They're family-owned, they're AAA approved by the Better Business Bureau, and they are 100% local. They use the highest quality products, and they stand behind their work. And I'm not into scare tactics, no way. But goodness, this is your home. I mean, it's your castle. Walk around it, take a look. If you see cracks in the foundation, just call TerraTech. They'll come out for free. No cost, no obligation. They'll tell you honestly if you have a problem or not. You can trust TerraTech to repair your home. You know I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Online, it's TerraTechInc.com or call them 791-8888. That's 791-8888 or online at TerraTechInc.com.
The year is 1971, and Sudeth Automotive is providing affordable and reliable auto repair to Columbia. Fast forward 50 years and not much has changed. Time and time again, customer after customer, Sudeth Automotive has proven to be one of the best repair shops in Columbia. With our well-trained technicians, service packages, and monthly specials, we just keep getting better with time. Call us, come by at 1410 North Millwood Avenue, or make an appointment at SudethAuto.com.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-0000. 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044, and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
We are back on Sports Talk on this Founders Federal Football Friday night. Glad to have you with us. Phil Kornblut in Kinston, North Carolina, just down the road from Greenville, North Carolina. It's USC ECU. It's funny. ECU doesn't say E of CU. It's just ECU. But now USC, of course, has gone a few years ago with U of SC, but I don't say of. To me, it was born USC. It will die USC. Anybody who says otherwise just doesn't know any better. Two guys who do know better, of course, are combatants in the football filibuster. We welcome in former Governor Jim Hodges, current Attorney General Alan Wilson. Gentlemen, good to have you with us. Governor, a 2-3 start for you. You're picking up where you left off last year.
Well, first of all, I think Kinston is actually the home of Pepsi Cola, if my memory is right. You're staying there, but I did pick up where I left off last year, and Clemson disappointed me. If you told me they would have held Georgia to 10 points, I would have thought I would have won.
Yes, I bet you would have. It's also the home, I believe, of one Jerry Stackhouse. I believe he's from Kinston, North Carolina, now the head coach at Vanderbilt. Alan, you're a busy man. We appreciate you taking time out to be with us to deal with the small stuff in life, like picking college football games. A 3-2 start for you. Not bad.
Listen, I can't believe it. I feel like that scene in Rocky IV where Rocky cuts the Russian. You know, I feel like, Governor Hodges is so good at this. So I'm really excited that I was able to pull one out last week.
Well, you guys were identical, except I think you differed on the Clemson game, and that's what made the difference. So we've got 5 more games coming up for you. Before we get to our picks, I think we'd all be remiss. We're having such a joyous time and having such fun, and we're excited about the football tonight, the football tomorrow, but we know what tomorrow is, 20th anniversary of 9/11. So there's going to be not only the excitement of college football across the country, guys, but that solemn feeling as well as we remember what happened 20 years ago, Governor. Obviously, something that any of us who were around then will never forget, and you have to kind of mix those emotions in with the festivities of the fun of college football tomorrow.
Well, you're right. I lost some friends in 9/11, and on top of that, just the months and years that passed and all the difficulties we had in the country from that. I mean, it was a very emotional time and a very difficult time for the country. And I distinctly remember that Mississippi State Carolina game that led us out of that. So a lot of memories are there, a lot of bad memories of things that happened, but the unity that the country showed after that, I think, was inspirational.
Oh, no doubt about it. I covered that South Carolina-Mississippi State game down in Starkville, the first sporting event after 9/11, Alan, and it was surreal there with, of course, the increased security everywhere you went to. It really was the first time in my years of covering sports where you had to go through major security lines and basically be checked head to toe before they would let you in. And then we had the very moving moment on the field where the USC players, the Mississippi State players combined to help to unfold this huge American flag. I know you remember all that well.
Oh, I was at that game, and I remember it very clearly. It was a very solemn occasion, and I agree with everything the governor said. This is one of those, everyone remembers where they were and what they were doing at that time in their lives. It was very much for us what December 7th was for our grandparents. So, like I said, tomorrow we'll be excited to watch football, but we'll be thinking, the people we lost 20 years ago and all the people that have sacrificed since then. So thank you for mentioning that.
Oh, absolutely. All right, let's get back to the fun and games for a little bit because that's what we try to do here on Sports Talk. For at least 2 hours, take your mind off of everything else, okay? So, Governor, since you're in last place in the competition, I love saying that, let's let you begin. Well, he's been so cocky over the years, Let's let it, of course, this is, as you like to say, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and that's how you play it. It's strategy. It's strategy. So we begin with the first true SEC game of the season, right? I think so. No SEC games last week. Missouri at Kentucky. I like both of these teams. I like both of these quarterbacks. Kentucky's laying 5 at home, Governor.
I'm going to take Kentucky. I was impressed with the fact that Kentucky now has a real offense, which they didn't have in the past. They can throw the ball. I didn't think Mizzou looked particularly good last week, so I'm going to take the Wildcats.
All right, you got the Wildcats. AG, what do you say?
I'm with the Governor on this one. I'm taking Kentucky.
Taking Kentucky. Okay. Let's go to NC State at Mississippi State. Now, NC State impressive last week with a win over UCF, shutting them out. Mississippi State gets a close win at home against Louisiana Tech, Skip Holtz and company. I say this, Alan, NC State never has experienced 60,000 pairs of cowbells ringing in their ears like they're going to experience tomorrow. And they are a 2-point favorite. So the home team is getting 2 tonight. What do you think? Or tomorrow night?
I'm taking, and I'm going to go with NC State. I'm going to take them.
Okay. You want NC State laying the 2. Governor?
Yeah, it's hard for me to bet against the Pirate. They were bad last week, but Leach is such a genius. And NC State, let's face it, they're an ACC school playing on the road. I'm going to take Mississippi State.
You want Mississippi State? Okay. Mix it up here a little bit. You've got Mississippi State getting the 2 at home dog. All right, Governor, Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Pittsburgh, I think, is really good in the Coastal. Their quarterback is one of the best in the ACC. We'll see what happens. He could emerge as the best. Puckett, he's been around a while. He throws the ball well. Playing at Tennessee. Tennessee, a home dog. We've got 2 SEC teams as home dogs to ACC teams. That seems kind of weird. Governor, what do you think here? Pitt is a 3-point favorite.
This is a tough one. I'm going to take Pitt simply because Tennessee is so bad. I mean, whatever they had from a bad team, they lost through transfer. So I'm going to take Pitt.
All right, you got him. What do you think, Alan?
I don't know. I'm going with Rocky Top this time. It'll be close. So I'm going to take Tennessee for this one.
Well, Tennessee got that win last week, pulling away from Bowling Green. I think they like Joe Milton, their quarterback. I think they've got something there. Got a good little running game. Jalen Hyatt, former Dutch Fork receiver, their leading guy now at receiver. So they think with their new coach, Heupel, they've got a new offense there. We'll see. I kind of like Pitt myself. Let's go to the game in Conway tonight, gentlemen, kicking off at about 7:30. It's Kansas coming to Coastal Carolina. Shots are 26.5-point favorites at home. Mr. Attorney General, sir, you say.
Man, they're clearly the better team, but do they win by 26.5? So I went back and forth on this one. And I think they're gonna win, but I don't think they're gonna be by doing it by 26.5. So I'm picking Kansas.
You want Kansas and the points. Okay, Governor. Governor Hodges.
I'm not sure Kansas could beat a good high school team. They're really bad, or even a bad high school team at that. So I'm going to take Coastal. I mean, Coastal, I think, feels the pressure to cover on this, and again, Kansas had a coaching change and didn't have much talent at that. So let's go with the Chants.
All right, you got them. They like to be called the Shants, by the way, just so you'll know. The Shants.
Absolutely.
He doesn't have to worry about offending anybody anymore. He's not running for any office, so he doesn't have to worry about the Coastal Carolina vote down that way along the Grand Strand. The Shants. All right, to the Gamecocks and the Pirates up here in eastern North Carolina. This game, as far as the line is concerned, it opened up with East Carolina favored. Now it's South Carolina favored, laying 2. So the bettors have been a little bit confused. I guess maybe some of it has to do with the quarterback situation in South Carolina. Who knows when somebody makes a decision. But, Alan, it is the Gamecocks are the 2-point favorite on the road here against East Carolina. Feeling pretty good after their win last week. What do you think?
Listen, I knew South Carolina was going to win last. Well, I felt very strongly they were going to win by a significant amount, but I bet against them on the spread. I'm going to give them a little bit more faith this week, and I'm going to go with South Carolina on the points, feeling like they win by at least a field goal. So I'm going with South Carolina.
At least a field goal. Governor, what do you say?
I'm presuming that Y.A. Tittle will play quarterback again this week. So I think I'm going to take the Gamecocks as well.
Johnny Unitas,
Johnny U, Y.A. Tittle, Tom Matty. We've got all the old names here, but whatever they are, it worked last week, and I certainly hope Luke Doty plays as well. But I think the Gamecocks are going to win.
All right, very good. So you both are taking the Gamecocks. So you agree on the Gamecocks, you agree on Kentucky, you disagree on everything else. Alan, time now for amendments here on the football filibuster. Anything you want to change?
You know, there was one that I was going back and forth on, and I was a little hesitant about, and I'm going to flip one of them.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with the governor on the Chants.
And he gets it right. All right, you want Coastal Carolina. Okay. Governor,
yeah,
he's joining you. He's joining you on that pick, Governor. Any amendments for you?
I'll stick with the Chants.
Doesn't it feel free and liberating to be able to say it the way you want to?
Yeah, we just call it Coastal, right, Alan?
There you go.
That's right.
Are you good with everything else, Governor?
I am, yeah.
All right. So you're both are taking Coastal. You're both taking the Gamecocks. You're both taking Kentucky. You differ on Pitt, Tennessee, and Mississippi State, NC State. Gentlemen, as always, we thank you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, Phil.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Governor Jim Hodges, Attorney General Alan Wilson. The football filibuster here on Sports Talk. Coming up, we'll get you some professional help. As for our picks, the Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge. Of course, you heard what Chris had to say. So last week, Dr. Rick goes 4-1. The money coach, Fran Halloran, he goes 4-1. So they are the early leaders. Kevin Cohen goes 3-2. Smitty went 3-2. Everybody else went 2-3, except for me. Wait a whoa, back up. I forgot. Teddy Hefner. Teddy went 4-1. So Teddy, Fran, and Rick all 4-1. Everybody else who did not go 3-2 went 2-3, except for me. I got the the brick last week. I went 1-4. Okay. So this week we're looking at across the board. Everybody's taking Kentucky right across the board. Mississippi State and NC State, pretty much a split opinion. I'm going with Mississippi State. Pat, you're going to go with NC State. Rick's going Mississippi State. Chris mentioned he's going to go with NC State, and Smitty's taking NC State. The Pitt game in Tennessee, I'm going Pitt, and Smitty is going with Pitt. Pat, you're taking Pitt. So we're all taking Pitt. Dr. Rick's taking Tennessee. Teddy Hefner's taking Tennessee. Bobby Harton, the big kahuna, is taking Tennessee. Pete Yannity's taking Pitt. Pete was 2-3 last week. Kansas and Coastal. Too much points. Too many points. Too much to overcome. I'm taking Kansas. I think Coastal will win, obviously, but I'm taking Kansas. The 26.5, I think, is just too much. Let's see. Pat, you're taking Coastal. You're not afraid. You're laying the points. Smitty's taking Kansas. Teddy's taking Kansas. Fran's taking Coastal. Bobby Harton's taking Coastal. Pete Yannity's taking Coastal. Kind of a mixed bag there. USC and East Carolina across the board. Everybody's taking the Gamecocks and laying the 2 points. No contest there. USC is the pick across the board by everybody, laying the 2 points tomorrow against East Carolina. There you go with our picks. There you go with the football filibuster. After the break, we're going to get you some professional help. Lee Sterling will be here, and Lee will tell you what he knows about some of the top games in the country, and he'll focus, of course, on that South Carolina-East Carolina game as well. Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports is coming up next. After the break, Founders Federal Football Friday here on Sports Talk.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Lee Sterling coming up in just a couple of minutes here on Sports Talk. Let's hit the phones, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Billy in Somerville. Hello, Billy. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Michael?
I'm good.
I got a couple of questions for you with the games this weekend. The first one, Oregon and Ohio State. How do you feel about that game? Do you think it'll be a close game, or do you think Ohio State will just blow them out?
No, I think it's going to be a close game. I do like Ohio State at home, but I think it's going to be close. Oregon's really good. I think they can travel and play well. I don't think they'll be intimidated or anything like that. Again, Ohio State got off to a slow start last weekend. They got it together. And he's still talking about a freshman quarterback still getting his feet wet. And so I look at Oregon being able to hang in there. Good defensive team. Look for a close game. Look for Ohio State to probably win that thing at home.
I know it's at home, but do you think, like you said, you really think Oregon can give them a run for their money? Because the thing with Minnesota was they were in that game, but it's like the defense got tired and they made 2 mistakes towards the end of the game. And I think that's what caused them that game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And a couple more questions. Mm-hmm. A couple more questions. With Coastal Carolina, do you think they will end up jumping to another conference in the next couple of years if they keep going the way they're going?
Well, I tell you, the AAC could be appealing to them. I mean, I don't know the basics of the difference between the AAC and the Sun Belt, except that they have bigger markets, or they had bigger markets. Right. I mean, they're losing some big markets. They're losing, Cincinnati, that's a big city, a pretty good sized market. BYU is a national program, really, when you think about it. It's the Mormon school. So it attracts people from all over the country. A big stadium and a big school.
Would they have to add on to their stadium to be able to do something like that from what they are now?
I'm not sure what that requirement would be. That's a good question. I mean, they have over 20,000 now, and they're going to be with their enrollment size. Part of the problem for a school like Coastal, they don't have a huge enrollment, 10,000, and they don't have a bunch of alumni to come back and help fill the seats. So how big do you want to go with your stadium so that you don't overbuild and have a lot of empty seats on any given Saturday, simply because you just don't have enough people to fill it up? But, again, it's going to boil down to television contracts. How much does the AAC pay its teams comparable to the Sun Belt? That's a question I don't know, or an answer I don't know.
And one last question: how big is this East Carolina game for Carolina before they go into Georgia next weekend? Seeing what the rest of the year might bring for Carolina. What do you think it's going to be one of those close games, or do you think is because, like I said, East Carolina lost to Appalachian State, and I just think the point spread is too low.
Point spread's very low, almost a pick 'em. I mean, I think I said earlier 35-21, so I'm looking at 2 touchdowns. Maybe I'm stupid. But I tell you, this is huge for South Carolina because unless they are fooling us and they are a lot better than most people have expected, this is one of the games on the schedule they could circle and say, okay, got a chance to win, like Vanderbilt, got a chance to win. They can't let a game like this slip through their fingers. They can't let Vanderbilt slip through the fingers. They got to beat Troy in a few weeks if they're going to be in position to get to 4 wins there and then have a chance to get a couple of more to qualify for a bowl invitation. So this is huge from that standpoint. Lose this game tomorrow, it's going to be almost impossible for them to get to 6 wins the way it stands now if they lose this game tomorrow. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call, Billy. Always good hearing from you. It is time now, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard from the amateurs. It's time to get some professional help here on Sports Talk as we welcome in from ParamountSports.com, the one, the only, Dr. Lee Sterling. Good evening, Lee. How are you, sir?
I'm good. My brother and my father were dentists, so used to hearing them being doctor. But I don't mind as long as we're winning.
There you go. What kind of week did you have last week?
Overall, went 6-5. Had some close wins and some tough losses, but overall a little bit on top. But expecting a huge weekend this weekend. I rate my games from 10 to 50 units. First time this year we're going to release a 50-unit play. Never released one week 1 in the NFL. I found something no one even found, and think it's going to be a 3 or 4 touchdown win.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. How can folks get your information behind the scenes?
Just go to ParamountSports.com. You can join me if you've never been with me before. 3 weeks. Use coupon code SAVE100, $297. 3 weeks of my executive phone service.
Outstanding. All right, let's begin with NC State, favored by 2, going to Mississippi State.
So both teams are in different spots here in regard to roster construction, in my opinion. Mike Leach in year 2, 36 players have already left the program. He's bringing in some new guys, but no depth. Will Rogers at quarterback. He's got to get the job done. No one's behind him. I like this roster for North Carolina State. Not many guys that are going to be drafted in the first or second rounds, but they play together. And Mike Leach, the bloom is off. 9-18 against the spread his last 27 as a head coach. I don't go for the ACC over the SEC much, but I do here. I like State here, 31-23 over Mississippi State.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we got 2 ACC teams as road favorites against SEC teams this weekend. What about here in Greenville, North Carolina? You've got now this line has changed to where South Carolina, unless it's changed back, South Carolina is about a 2-point favorite over the Pirates.
Yeah, and not a ton of South Carolina love here because I just think the Sharps are playing East Carolina, Squares in the public playing South Carolina here. They only returned 14 starters. I think the East Carolina loss last week to Appalachian State, very misleading. I think Holton Ahlers is going to get the job done here with his arm and his feet. He's got 2 nice running backs in Harris and Mitchell, a big play receiver in Snead here. And I think ECU, by playing App State, helped them a lot more to prepare for this game than South Carolina playing Eastern Illinois. I like East Carolina. Wrong team favored, 31-27.
Oh, my goodness. A tight one. Okay. In the pros, it's the Panthers laying 5 against the Nets.
Yeah, and I think this game has blowouts spelled all over it. Christian McCaffrey here returns. I think he's going to do whatever he wants, running and catching the ball out of the backfield. Remember, Robbie Anderson played for the Jets, him and Sam Darnold. I think they're going to serve up some cold, hard reality to this Jets team that is just not ready to compete against the better teams. And I think also DJ Moore and Terrence Marshall might have big games here. Jets, they've got just too many injuries, and also the addition of Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick as pass rushers. Big win, 38-13 over for Carolina here.
Thank you.
What's supposed to happen here? Thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. All U.S.-bound flights of Afghan evacuees have been halted for health safety concerns. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the incoming evacuee flights have been temporarily paused because of 4 diagnosed cases of measles among arriving Afghans.
These individuals are being quarantined in accordance with public health guidelines, and the CDC has begun full contact tracing.
Psaki notes that all arriving Afghans are currently required to be vaccinated for measles as a condition of entry into the United States. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Biden's aggressive push to require millions of U.S. workers to vaccinate against the coronavirus is running into a wall of resistance from Republicans, threatening everything from lawsuits to civil disobedience, plunging the country deeper into culture wars that have festered since the onset of the pandemic. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, a potential 2024 presidential candidate, says she's preparing a lawsuit. The September 11th terrorist attacks brought profound change to America, including increased security measures at airports throughout the country. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
Lawrence Christopher Abel.
It's an anniversary we've all become too familiar with, the reading of names of those who died on 9/11. Kathy Cunningham, who lost her brother, attended the New York anniversary gathering in 2020.
We wish we didn't have to be here, but we have a story to tell, and our story is to keep their memory alive.
The attacks resulted in increased security screening at airports following the creation of the Transportation Security Administration 2 months after 9/11. I'm Mike Hempen.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 271 points, the Nasdaq dropped 132, the S&P lower by 34. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, this is Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Football is back, and so is tailgating. Whether it's Friday Night Lights, Saturday College, or Pro Sundays, Solaire portable infrared grills set up fast and heat up quickly. Only 3 minutes to searing hot temperatures, just like the big backyard Solaires. The Solaire grills will make you the master of the tailgater with the juiciest, most flavorful food in the parking lot. The fast grilling times leave you more time to talk up your team, and they cool down fast so you won't miss a minute of the game. The Solaire Anywhere and Solaire Everywhere portable infrared grills are perfect for any grilling on the go, from picnics to camping, RVs to boating, but especially tailgating. And they're made in the USA with the confidence of a 100-year-old family business. Amaze your tailgating friends with Solaire infrared grills. Learn more about these fantastic grills at BestHotGrill.com. That's BestHotGrill.com. BestHotGrill.com.
President Biden has told his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, that bilateral communications channels should remain open to prevent misunderstandings that could lead to confrontations between them.
Both sides agreed to stay in much more regular contact. We know President Biden was getting a bit frustrated with the lack of communication with China. Both sides went through long periods of not talking to each other, especially during the Trump administration. Secondly, President Xi said that both countries would look to cooperate a lot more on climate change. Another thing President Xi said was that although these American policies had caused China what he calls serious difficulties, he did want to get this relationship back on the right track, not least, of course, when it comes to trade.
That is BBC correspondent Nick Marsh reporting from London. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
Are you worn out from wall-to-wall political talk? Instead of hearing more about the stuff in Washington that's mostly out of your control, I'll give you the tools to actually take control of your money and your life. Dave Ramsey here. Join me right here on The Point. I'm live and taking your calls weekdays at 2 p.m. I'll teach you how to get on a written plan that actually works, get out of debt, and build wealth. Weekdays at 2 p.m. The Dave Ramsey Show at 100.7 The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Talk Media Network here on this Founders Federal Football Friday. A lot of football going on, of course. High school football getting underway around the state of South Carolina tonight. Still a lot of games to be played despite the COVID cancellations. We have figured out a way, we hope, to have David Shelton with us for a few minutes. We'll get to that in a little bit. We've got, of course, the college weekend getting underway tonight down at Coastal Carolina, kicking off at 7:30. Should be a good one. Coastal Carolina against Kansas, and Chris is there for that, and he'll be joining us on the High School Scoreboard Show later on tonight to report on that. And a lot of good games around the state. Of course, we're up here in Greenville, North Carolina for South Carolina, East Carolina tomorrow. Clemson home to South Carolina State. And another game that we've been paying a lot of attention to here on Sports Talk tomorrow is North Greenville at Newberry. We had Coach Farrington with us last night. Let's even things up by having Newberry coach Todd Knight with us for a couple of minutes on this Friday before the big game at Newberry tomorrow. Coach, good to have you with us. How are you, sir?
Doing good, sir. Thank you for having us on tonight.
Oh, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I think this is going to be an excellent matchup of two improving Division II teams from two different good leagues. How do you see the matchup tomorrow at your place?
It looks to me pretty evenly matched. They've got several graduates in the program, and for the first time in a long time, we've got 8 to 10 grads in our program. And if you look at it, I feel like it's a pretty good matchup. They've got a big old quarterback that can sling it around. I feel like we've got some pretty good corners to defend it against. Offensively, we love to power the football. They play really hard on defense. I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
What'd you like about your team in that season opening win last week?
Well, I think just trying to just block all the noise out, 5-hour ride. And all the stuff that goes along with a big trip like that for us at our level, being able to get off the bus and with all the distractions and just say, okay, from the opening snap, we controlled everything. And very pleased with what I've seen. The run game came together. Quarterback threw the ball well defensively, held them in check, giving up one touchdown. You'll pretty much take that every week if you could walk away 31-7.
As far as your running game goes, Mario Anderson had 171 yards and a touchdown. I know you were excited to see that out of him. And then Dre Harris, you didn't have to throw it a whole lot, but he was okay. 7 of 13, 117, but 2 touchdowns. So those two key guys, how did you break down their performances?
Well, I think Dre he's always been a very athletic kid for us. I think his maturity level has kind of caught up with his athleticism, where he used to be the kind of guy where we'd say, no, touchdown, that kind of kid. Where now he has a grasp of the offense. If it's not there, he's not going to try to force it. He's going to get what he can get. He's the kind of kid that can beat you with his arm or beat you with his legs, and he's settled in and really managing the ball game for us nowadays.
Yeah, yep. And what about leading your running game, the type of performance that Mario did, 171 yards, averaged over almost 11 yards per carry for him, so he was quite the workhorse.
He really was. He's a great kid, work ethics off the charts. He loves the weight room, and he's a kid that, hey, look, if we're going to say we're a power football team and you're the guy, he feeds off of it, and he wants us to be that, team captain, everything you look for, just a really, really solid ball player for us.
So how often do your staff cross paths with Coach Farrington, his staff, recruiting the state of South Carolina. Do you guys end up going head-to-head after a lot of the same people?
Hey, it happens. Phil, they step over. They do a lot of recruiting in Georgia. We don't do a lot of recruiting in Georgia, but we do see North Greenville, especially if it's a kid in the upstate. We'll see them quite often there. Yes.
Yeah. So this game not only is just about a win or a loss, but I mean it can help you in some recruiting dominance in state, right? Make a statement for you.
Absolutely, it could for both teams here. So there's a lot at stake, not just a W or an L here. I think both teams are pretty good programs. I know Coach Farrington does a good job, and it's going to be exciting. And winner out of this, yes, absolutely, it could say in certain areas in the state, it's going to be a big deal when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, and what's the feeling around the school tonight? I know you're at a dinner tonight with your team, looking for a good crowd, maybe a bigger than normal crowd as Newberry fans can get back out for the first time in mass to support the football team.
Yeah, and we're looking for a sellout tomorrow, and there's a little vibe on campus right now. Everybody's excited. Home opener, hadn't played one. We played a shortened version in the spring, but having it here in the fall, it's been a year, and people are really, really excited to have a game here in town.
Well, good luck. Should be a heck of a ball game. Two really good Division II programs going at it. That's good football. And we thank you for taking time out to be with us. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Todd Knight.
All right.
So we've given you both sides of that story between Newberry and North Greenville. I think that's going to be a heck of a game tomorrow up at Newberry. So appreciate Coach being on with us. Appreciate Coach Farrington being on with us last night. All right. We've hooked up with David Shelton, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is at Johnson Haygood, maybe for Oceanside, Myrtle Beach. Maybe I'm wrong. We're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here with David. David, can you hear me okay?
So, Corn, to help you out there, I have him connected, but unfortunately, through the program we have him connected through, I can't find out until he's live. David, are you there? Can you hear us?
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
He sounds, yes. Do you hear me okay, David? Hello.
Yeah, I hear you great, just like you're in my backyard.
There you go. And you sound terrific. Where are you tonight? Are you at Johnson Haygood?
Yeah, I'm at Johnson Haygood for the Myrtle Beach Oceanside Collegiate Clash. Myrtle Beach's first game of the season. How about that?
That is unbelievable. My man Matt Smith's calling that game for Myrtle Beach tonight.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Is he here?
He's there, supposedly.
Have you seen? I see Ian Guerin. I haven't seen Matt Smith, though. Maybe he is here.
Yeah, you'll have to go into one of the play-by-play booths probably to find him.
Okay.
But anyway, give us the breakdown on that game. That's going to be one of the best matchups in the state tonight, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Myrtle Beach is at a considerable disadvantage because this is their first game and Oceanside's playing their fourth game. But Myrtle Beach is very talented. Still ranked third in the 4A poll. A lot of people respect what they've got. Outstanding quarterback, outstanding receiver. It's going to be interesting. I was talking with Ian Guerin earlier about what to expect, and you really kind of don't know. I mean, you kind of know what Oceanside is because they played 3 games already, but this Myrtle Beach team has been waiting a long time to go hit somebody else. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, if they have the typical first game mistakes and the penalties and things like that, or if they come out and just click, like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Well, they got Ryan Berger, quarterback, Adam Randall at wide receiver. Great 1-2 punch there. They're ready to get out of the gates quickly and show what they can do. Elsewhere around the state, I went over what I thought were some of the top games. What do you see as some of the better games around the state? Of course, we've got some teams having to go outside the state to find opponents.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's still on. I've been sort of out of commission all day, but if Mallard Creek and Gaffney are still playing, that would be a great football game to be at. That'll be a huge game. I saw last night, what caught my attention was Southside Christian, the 1A defending state champs, beat Greer last night, which is a little bit down, but a considerable 3A program. But that was an impressive win. They kind of led that game from start to finish and won by 2 touchdowns. And that kind of tells me Southside Christian may be really hard to beat in Class A.
Yeah. How about Ridgeview at Gray Collegiate? I think Ridgeview might be stepping into a bit of a hornet's nest here. Gray Collegiate, they're 2A. They're ranked number 2 only because Abbeville is just so good. But Gray Collegiate's very good as well. Do they have enough athletes? Do they have the numbers to match up with Ridgeview?
That'll be interesting to see. Ridgeview is very good. Now, I'm going to tell you, they're athletic. They've got a lot of experience. They're really good on both lines. That'll be a challenge for Gray. Gray probably doesn't have the depth. They probably got a few guys going both ways. But they do have KZ Adams, and KZ Adams is the real deal. Mm-hmm. So, he'll probably make some plays tonight. But it'll be interesting to see if they can withstand Ridgeview's size. They're big, they're fast, they're strong. They're one of the better 5A teams in the state, but Gray's Gray lives for these challenges to play the big boys. So, they're going to be ready to go.
All right. One more to touch on, David. I like this matchup. Lower Richland, which over the last couple of years has really come on. They're undefeated 3-0, but they're going to play at the number 1 ranked 4A team, AC Flora, which has played 1 game undefeated. What about this matchup? Can LR keep it close on the road with Flora?
Hey, sorry, Corn. We lost our connection. I'm trying to get David back now. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay. All right. We'll let you do that. We may have to let it slide because we've got Jeff Owens coming up in just a moment. But if you get him back real quick.
He's
you
back.
got him back?
Hello.
Okay. David, I was asking about Lower Richland playing at AC Flora. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Lower Richland can compete in this game. They've got some pretty good athletes. Now, this is a step up. This is a little bit more than they've bitten off early on, but AC Flora is a pretty good team. But like you said, they've only played 1 game, so we're still kind of waiting to see what kind of team they've got. But it should be an interesting, entertaining game to say the least.
Looking forward to it. Hey, we can connect with you this way for the high school scoreboard show tonight if if your phone's not back operating fully. So just stay near your laptop when you're done.
Yeah, well, I'm actually using the phone with the Wi-Fi here in the press box, but my phone service is not working. My phone is working, my phone service is not. That's where we're. But I'm going to try to make it work tonight. If I have to go to McDonald's and sit in the parking lot for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, you actually sound better coming through this connection we've got with you, so we might stick with this way to do it. We'll talk more off the air. No sense talking shop on the air.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
All right, my man. Enjoy the game. Thank you, David Shelton. He'll be with us tonight, one way or another. High School Scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union here on Sports Talk. Real quick, let me give you the recruiting report before we talk NASCAR. Recruiting is brought to you by our good friends at Seawells. Don't forget the daily luncheon buffet all next week, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. It is absolutely delicious and well set up for you for social distancing and staying clean and being healthy. That's the main thing, and you can enjoy all of that at Seawells. And, of course, the best in the catering business, that, of course, is Seawells at 803-771-7385 to visit them in person. Of course, they're located at 1125 Rosewood Drive, right across from the State Fairgrounds in Columbia. Well, Clemson gets the commitment this afternoon from 2023 receiver Nathaniel Joseph. He's 5'8", 170. He's from Miami. Picked the Tigers over Florida State, and Texas A&M. 4-star prospect in the 24/7 Sports Composite, ranked as the number 173 player overall, number 24 receiver nationally in his class. He has been recruited by Tyler Grisham for an extended period. They like the fact that he is really, really fast, and they think he gives them that slot receiver along the lines of a Hunter Renfrow, who wasn't exceptionally fast, but you couldn't cover him out of the slot, or or Rogers, most recently, who was fast and hard to cover out of the slot. They think this guy kind of gives them that same kind of weapon out of the slot. So that's a big pickup there for Clemson. Tigers' first commitment in the 2023 class. Tonight, Antonio Williams of Dutch Fork, they're off tonight. They're not playing, so he put out a top 6. Antonio Williams, top 6 of South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida State, Auburn, Notre Dame, and Georgia. No Clemson. Clemson has been recruiting him, but they have not offered him for some reason. So, maybe they see others in the class they like more, but seems like this cat is worthy of an offer from everybody, but Clemson has not offered, and thus Clemson not in his top 6. Would that change with an offer? It remains to be seen. But right now, South Carolina is recruiting him exceptionally hard, as is Ole Miss, where his stepfather, Murphy Holloway, played college basketball, though Murphy did spend a year at South Carolina, of course. So he's got connections both ways. Defensive end Nigel Kelly from down in Fort Lauderdale said last night he continues to hear from Clemson defensive ends coach Lemansky Hall, and Hall is to be down there tonight to scout him. They're talking about a visit this season, but nothing has been set. Last weekend, he took official visit to Florida State. He's also taken officials to Indiana, LSU, and Oregon. He plans to be at Miami tomorrow. He has set December 15th for his commitment announcement. Tight end Josh Sapp of Greenville High. No travel plans for a game this weekend. He was at the Clemson-Georgia game last Saturday. Appalachian wants him to visit next weekend. He'll either go there or to Clemson for the Tech game. He does hear from Tony Elliott at Clemson Weekly. Clemson has not yet offered. He said Clemson, Appalachian State, and Georgia State are showing the most interest. Emerald defensive end Robbie Harrison, no visit last weekend, nothing this weekend, takes an official to Michigan on the 17th. The Wolverines are strongly interested. He said he could see himself committing there not long after his visit. Georgia and Washington State are two others he's considering, and both have invited him for official visits. And he said his coaches sent some film to Clemson recently at the request of defensive coordinator Brent Venables. So far this season, early in the year, he's already had 54 total tackles and 2 sacks. Linebacker Troy Ford of Savannah plans to be at Clemson tomorrow. He's also a USC target. Camped there in June. Made an unofficial visit for the cookout the end of July. 2023 safety Brandon Sissay of Lakewood will visit Virginia Tech Saturday. 2023 quarterback Aliam Appler of Dutch Fork plans to visit Marshall tomorrow. 2024 quarterback Jaden Davis of Catawba Ridge, he plans to be at Ohio State on Saturday. Also in football recruiting, we have another visit to tell you about as soon as I can pull it up here. And that is 2023 offensive lineman Jordan Knox of Northwestern is set to visit Virginia Tech as well this coming weekend. Couple of basketball notes. USC coach Frank Martin was at Ridgeview Thursday for 2023 6'6" Gigi Jackson. North Carolina was there as well. Then Martin and his assistants were at Pace Academy in Atlanta for 6'6" Josh Reed and 2024 6'2" Kyle Green. Also, North Carolina coaches went over to Lexington High School yesterday for 2024 6'5" Cam Smith. And according to Zag's blog, Clemson plans to scout 6'6" Brandon Gardner this week, 2023 kid. He transferred this summer from Gray Collegiate to Word of God in Raleigh. So this week could have been today, or it might be tomorrow if they're having an open gym. There you go with recruiting here on Sports Talk. After the break, we come back. We jump into the fast lane with Jeff Owens, talk about Darlington and what a great race that was, and look ahead to the race this weekend at Richmond, race number 2 of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Jeff Owens coming up next here on Sports Talk. Hi, this is Phil Kornblut, and for me, high school football Friday nights in the Palmetto State are electric. And I want to know how all the teams in the state are doing. For that, I turn to scfootballstats.com. I've used scfootballstats.com for years as a resource, so I have all the scores and schedules right at my fingertips. And so can you. Never hunt for scores, standings, or rankings again. scfootballstats.com delivers weekly updates right to your inbox. Everything from your favorite teams, including Skeeza, all in one place. Fan subscriptions are just $25 for a full season of access. Head over to scfootballstats.com right now for a free trial. That's scfootballstats.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders talk, the pack is moving past. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear these W's say, boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, the throttle's open wide. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear these W's say, boogity, boogity, boogity,
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Boys. Let's go racing, boys. Let me hear you, Pat. Can't hear you. Let's go racing, boys. At Richmond, let's go racing, boys. We welcome in Jeff Owens in the fast lane here on Sports Talk. Jeff, we're going to hold you over after the break because we ran a little bit long, so don't worry about that. But Darlington was fantastic. Denny Hamlin knows when to start winning races. He picked a great time to get his first win of the season at Darlington, and now he goes to his home track of Richmond looking to make it 2 in a row.
Yeah, you're right. This could not have come at a better time for Denny. You know, if this were like Kevin Harvick or somebody who struggled all year and suddenly won a race, I wouldn't make much of it. But Hamlin has run good all year long, and he led the point standings for most of the regular season, just hadn't won a race. Things just hadn't fallen his way. So to win that first playoff race is a huge boost for him, and it's a guy who could take that momentum and run with it and possibly win his first championship. We go to his best track this weekend in Richmond. Wouldn't be surprised to see him make it 2 in a row and gain even more momentum.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question for a guy that covered the sport for a long time from the outset of the playoff that we have now to this point. So when a team like Denny Hamlin's wins the first race of the playoffs, now they're into the next round. They don't even have to sweat it for the next 2 races. They race for pride and maybe for some playoff points, I guess. But does anything change in the team for the next couple of weeks while they think about the next round?
Well, it takes a lot of pressure off for sure. There's no question about that. But NASCAR has changed things up a little bit over the last few years. You know, for a while there, it was a situation where if you won a race, You were in the next round, and you didn't really have anything to worry about because they restacked the points. Now it's a little different in that every point matters. The more stages you win, the better you finish, the more points you're going to pile up, and it carries on through the playoffs. So they can't completely let their guard down, but it does take a lot of pressure off because you're automatically in the next round. And that allows you to maybe start thinking ahead a little bit, looking at the next races and preparing for those. So that's the big advantage Denny's got right now.
All right, hang on, sir. Want to hear more from you about Darlington. What a great finish and what to look forward to at Richmond. More with Jeff coming up, and then George here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's your weekend forecast. You can't ask for any nicer weather. All kinds of sunshine, no threat of rain, and low humidity. Tonight will chill all the way down to an autumn-like temp of 59. Tomorrow, sunny skies and 85 the high, while on Sunday, look for more sunshine and a high of 88. Stay safe and have a great weekend. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hello, fondue fans. It's Jay from the Melting Pot. Well, you don't have to be a fondue fan to be a fan of the Melting Pot, but it sure helps. By the way, who eats melted cheese when it's 106 degrees outside anyway? And thank you for eating melted cheese and warm chocolate, by the way. The reality is special occasions don't end when it's summertime. Birthdays, anniversaries, end of summer, back to school celebrations, you name it. We celebrate it with you. So come and see us at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard, the Melting Pot.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters. Mississippi Republican Governor Tate Reeves says President Biden's new federal vaccine requirements are clearly unconstitutional and that he believes Biden issued the mandate to distract Americans from the fallout over his decision to withdraw American troops from Afghanistan. Reeves said, quote, "This is the same bait and switch. Biden wants us to talk about anything but Afghanistan. And sadly, he's willing to trample on the rights of 100 million Americans to try to help himself politically." Reeves said a member of the executive branch of government does not have the authority to mandate workers be vaccinated. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 271 points, the Nasdaq dropping 132, the S&P 500 lower by 34. Crude oil up $1.58 to $69.72 a barrel. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044 and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
I'm home. Is the AC turned on? It's hot.
I've got bad news.
What?
Our AC died.
You're kidding me.
No, but there's a bright side. Our contractor says Dominion Energy offers rebates up to $500 if we upgrade to Energy Star qualified equipment.
That's nice, but almost sounds too good to be true.
No, I checked it out. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
So your home is your castle. I work hard all day. My reward is time at my home with my family, living comfortably. I don't want to worry for a moment about bugs and pests. I've had Palmetto exterminators taking care of my home for 19 years. Now, that's a long time without worrying about pest control or infestation or termites, and that's because Palmetto Exterminators takes care of it all. Might not matter to some people, but you know what it does to me? They're family-owned. They've been doing this the right way for over 60 years. The staff is courteous. They're clean. They're totally professional. And you know, it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection. They'll customize a program to fit your needs and your family's budget. They offer a lifetime warranty with their termite agreement. Now, I speak from experience. Like I said, 19 years with the same company. I can't give a more glowing recommendation than the one I proudly give to Palmetto Exterminators. Online, palmettoexterminators.net, or call my guy, Ron Byers, 254-5833. That's 254-5833, Palmetto Exterminators.
We are back with Jeff Owens in the fast lane here on Sports Talk. We are much like NASCAR. We've taken the yellow, white, green. What is it? The overtime combination of flags, yellow, white, green. Is that what it is?
Red, white, checkered.
Red, white, checkered. Okay. As we're going overtime here for a couple of minutes with Jeff because we were short in the last half hour. What a finish at Darlington. You know, it was a typical Darlington race. They got single file and they rode around. We had a few spin outs here. We don't see the major crashes at Darlington anymore. We see single spin outs and individuals hitting the wall, but we don't see a lot of major crashes. But man, that last 50 laps was pure Darlington, and then the finish was classic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and that's what you want to see there. You know, the drivers have to be careful and take their time and sort of, you know, ease into things at Darlington and be patient and wait to the end. And that's what we saw. And then they all just went for it at the end. And it looked for a little while there like, you know, multiple guys could, you know, had a chance to win that race. And then Denny Hamlin emerges at the end. So I thought it was a great race. It's exactly what you expect out of Darlington, and I think it was a great way to start the playoffs.
How about Kyle Larson? He just stayed on the gas longer than you normally do coming out of 4, and of course he ends up crashing into 1. Is that just pure a pure racer's desire there, or what?
Yeah, I mean, he's got tremendous car control, no question about it, and he's got some of the best car control in the sport. But yeah, he's just going for it right there. And you know, we had talked about before the race. You know, they put down that new pavement there, and it made guys a little bit more bold going into turn 1 and 2, and they took some chances that they probably would not ordinarily take, and I think that's why it led to a lot of spin-outs like that.
All right, let's go to Richmond then. What are the keys to doing well at Richmond? What's that 3/4 of a mile around that track? And what's the key? And who do you think emerges on Sunday?
Yeah, the drivers love this track. It's a short track, so you're racing close. There's a lot of close competition. You're not going to see anybody check out and with a big lead, and there's always going to be racing all the way around the track. But the difference between Richmond and Bristol and Martinsville is that Richmond's kind of wide. You know, it's mostly flat, not a lot of banking. It's got kind of sweeping turns, and it leads to a lot of side-by-side racing. I mean, you can get up beside a guy and run side-by-side for several laps until one of them finally pulls ahead and gets the advantage. So it leads to some great racing. The drivers love this track, and it also tends to favor your top guys. I mean, I think Denny Hamlin is a favorite there again, no question about it. Martin Truex, you got to watch him. He swept both races there in 2019. And then the guy who could have a big bounce back performance is Kyle Busch. You know, he was not happy at all when he left Darlington, getting into that crash with Austin Dillon and wound up getting in some trouble for his actions after that race. But, you know, he's won 6 times at Richmond, and he swept both races in 2018. I expect him to come out with guns blazing in this race and have a shot too. So I think you're going to have a lot of contenders, and I think it's going to come right down to the end, just like it did at Darlington.
That was bizarre, seeing him go right to the garage after that crash and going around those cones and nearly taking some people out.
Yeah, he got that was a dangerous move by him. I mean, we all know, Kyle's a hothead, and when he has things go wrong, and he's had a lot of bad luck this year, and it just got to him. It struck him again in the first race of the playoffs, and he kind of lost it a little bit and had some choice words on TV. But that was a dangerous move going through that area of the track into the garage and running over those cones, particularly with some spectators in that area. And that's why NASCAR stepped in and fined him $50,000 for that. I don't think it was for what he said and the profanity on TV as much as it was a safety violation for going through the garage like that.
All right, so we have the playoffs begin at Darlington, which is such a tough track, and now Richmond, and then we go to Bristol for the last race in round one. And I mean, that's a great place to have Bristol in the schedule in a race that decides who advances to the next round. That will be absolutely wild Saturday. By the way, the race this weekend, I said Sunday, it's tomorrow night, and then they race on Saturday night in Bristol the following weekend. That's going to be absolutely wild.
Yeah, I love the way the playoffs start off and they're set up. You run the historic track at Darlington to start things, and then you got two short tracks. And you're going to see a lot of excitement, a lot of drama, a lot of wrecks, a lot of things happen at these two tracks. And if they can survive and get through Richmond, then you go to one of the ultimate tests at Bristol. And we know that there can be big wrecks and a lot of contact, a lot of controversy, a lot of drama at that place. So I like the way the NASCAR has set the playoffs up. They go, they've picked some of the toughest tracks and some of the tracks that create the most action and controversy for the elimination races. And I love that. I mean, you're going to have guys on pins and needles at Bristol. And, that place brings out the best and the worst in guys. So I think that's a great place to have your first elimination race.
Okay, Jeff, going to be a great weekend of football and racing. I know you'll be watching it all along with your Braves. And thank you for joining us as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Phil. You guys have a great weekend.
You too, my friend. Thank you very much. Okay, Jeff Owens in the fast lane here on Sports Talk. Going to be a really good race at Richmond. It was a really good race last week at Darlington, so we'll be looking for more of the same this Saturday night at Richmond. And then the next week at Bristol is just going to be wild. Let's see. We'll have George Bryan in a moment. I can update some high school football and also the Coastal game here in a moment. We've got West Florence on top of West Brunswick of North Carolina, 21-0. So West Florence off to a great start there. And let's see, what else do we have so far? Gilbert is tied at 7. Let's see, Gilbert is playing. Who was it they were playing? Somebody good. Gilbert is tied with whoever they're playing at 7. 7-7. It's AC Flora and Lower Richland. They're scoreless. The clock there is not working. Lou Bezjak tweets, so they don't know how much time is left in the first quarter. They're scoreless. And getting to 3 and out, and then a shank. But Myrtle Beach and Oceanside, they are scoreless. No, I take that back. Myrtle Beach has taken a 7-0 lead. Ryan Berger, a 43-yard touchdown pass. So Myrtle Beach up early, 7-0 there. And that's what we've got right now for some high school scores coming down the line. And let's see if we see anything here for on Coastal yet. I'm looking to see if anybody's posted anything, but I haven't seen anything on that just yet. So we'll pass that along to you as soon as that is available. So have we got George, Pat?
We do. He's ready to go.
Shall we play his theme?
Yeah.
Straight down the middle.
It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. That's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day.
Oh, no. We welcome in George Bryan III here to Sports Talk as we talk some golf on this Friday night, heading into a big golf weekend. And, you know, with all the football being played, everybody be at football games, George, the temperature is going to be awesome. It would be kind of a 36-hole kind of Saturday tomorrow, I would say.
Oh, my goodness. And we'll be able to run laps around the golf course. It'll be hours or mine. So I love football. My favorite time of the year. Golf courses are just spectacular, and just about pick whichever one you go, and it'll be all yours.
What is happening now as we move within a couple of weeks of fall on the calendar? So what is happening? This might be kind of a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. What is happening on golf courses around here, around the state, from a grass standpoint? What are we transitioning to?
Well, right now the Bermuda is hardy, and that's primarily what we have. Some derivative of Bermuda grass. There are a few with some other types like bent, but most of it is Bermuda, and it is thriving and absolutely brilliant. And it's the best surface grass on planet Earth to play golf on. And it's all I can tell you is that it just makes it fun to look at a golf ball. And so the greens are nice. We've got vegetation in the trees, the hardwoods, the pine. So it's just full color, and you got it to yourself. So in the morning there'll be some play at a lot of the clubs, but for the most part, in the afternoon, oh my goodness, you just got it to yourself. And if you're into walking, what kind of weather do we have here, Phil? This is as good as it gets. It'll be in the mid 70s to mid 80s, somewhere in that neighborhood, but perfect. So I know where I'll be, Phil. I know where I'll be.
I know where you'll be. You know, on second thought, that's not a stupid question, because grass is important in the world of golf. If you don't have great grass, and if you don't know what the grass is doing, it can affect your game. By the way, let me mention they're underway at Coastal, Kansas, with an early field goal for a 3-0 lead. I think the shots are coming out for their first possession. Now back to George. Any thoughts on the selections for the Ryder Cup team to finish out the roster?
None, and you're going to have to remind me. My beautiful angel wife spent last night in the hospital.
Oh no,
she's good now. She's good. It was extensions of COVID, and I'm giggling because hallelujah, she's out and she looks strong today. But I'm operating on fumes and happy that she's good. So you inform me on the picks.
Okay, so of course, Captain Steve Stricker had his captain's picks, and those were announced over the last day or so. So he chose Tony Finau, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, and Harris English, and Daniel Berger and Scotty Scheffler as his captain's choices. Did not take Patrick Reed, who, of course, has done extremely well in Ryder Cup competition or team competitions. Did not take him. So the team is made up of Colin Morikawa, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, and the ones I just mentioned.
Well, I think it's about as good as our country can put together. And the one thing that is going to be fun is to see how these younger players, that's quite a collection of young players. The first thing that comes to mind is youth. I know several of those players fairly well, and they have hearts that are impressive. And for example, Xander and Harris English, these young fellas are as tough and they possess as much skill as anybody in the world. It'd be fun for me to see what the extra juice does to their games. And so that's one of the things that happens when the adrenaline of representing your country kicks in. All
all areas of the game are magnified, amplified. So you have a chance to play up. One thing about Europe, they have a history, decades of having great team chemistry and great team leadership. So they always they're team first, and it'll be fun to see how our young players respond to that. I think Stricker's could be a great leader, and it'll be fun to see how they handle it. And I don't know if you picked up the Solheim Cup. We had Mark on a couple of weeks ago, Mark Ernst, and pretty good match on Sunday. It came down to a Sunday event, but USA did take a defeat, which I thought they were the favorite team, and that's the one thing going back to what's going to happen next week or week after next is it doesn't matter. It's so close. It's going to be who has that team chemistry in the heart. And I do think a lot of the captains, especially on our end, managing the individual is a little different from the USA perspective versus the European perspective. The team chemistry has been embedded in their culture, and it starts before last year or 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So even the clubs in Europe, it's team first in Europe. In this country, it's individual first.
Mm-hmm.
So the captain, there'll be a lot of pressure in my mind on Steve Stricker to create chemistry, and it'll be a little bit of fun. I'm sure the media is going to pick us apart with DeChambeau and Koepka, and I don't know. I'll wait and we'll talk more about that later. But
well, I was going to say, you talk about team chemistry and all that, and I mean, look, any team that can thrive as the Europeans have with a snob like Colin Montgomery, a boorish, snobbish Englishman on the team, but they love him over there. We might despise him over here, golf fans do, but they love him over there. When I say despise, I say that, of course, in a playful way. They love to get on him because he has said things about the American golfers and America in the past, has he not? But they certainly love him on the European team, right? They do love him.
Oh yeah, he and what I think some of these guys, it's a little bit of smack talk that goes along with it. And so if you go to Europe, especially Great Britain, the Americans are thought of as snobs. I think that's cute. And then all of a sudden we come over and we're calling them snobs. So there's a little I'll say there's some gaming and some smack talk going on. But well, I'll tell you, and this is a fact, those the Spaniards and the Frenchmen and the Brits and the Scots and the Irish, they all know the key to the Ryder Cup is team golf, and they're actually doing stuff throughout the year in preparation for it. And even if they're not on the team, these players are thinking as if, well, like I said earlier, it's embedded in their culture. Team golf is first at the club level, and certainly Scotland and Ireland and Great Britain. So it's more in their culture, and over here, it's all about the individual. It's me first over here, but all for one and one for me.
Hey man, you don't have to look any further than Twitter to see that in the American sports culture or anywhere in the world. But just look on Twitter, and it's right. It's all for me and all for me. That's sort of how things have developed. We thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy your golf this weekend. We'll be slaving away watching football, but you enjoy the golf, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, team high, but shoot 'em low.
Thank you, George. George Bryan, brought to you by the Players Club in Columbia. Make sure you get by the Players Club. Enjoy great golf indoors with their many many I'm missing the word, Pat, help me. Many help me with the word. I'm helping me with the word. Indoor golf and
simulator.
That's the word I'm looking for. That's close enough. Simulated golf indoors. Fantastic at the Players Club in Columbia. Coastal has scored. They're up 7-3.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxfax.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina took the kickoff after giving it the field goal, went right down the field. Grayson McCall hit a wide open receiver very easily, took it in for the touchdown, couldn't tell who caught it, but they're up 7-3, and now they've come up with a turnover. So you know what? They're looking like they want to eat up that 26.5 by halftime. They are up 7-3. Quick around the horn. I'm sitting in for Chris Bergen, who's the master, of course, at Around the Horn here on Sports Talk. Of course, Around the Horn, as you heard a few moments ago as Chris was doing the commercial, brought to you by our good friends at the Farm Bureau Insurance. And so a couple of baseball notes as we look around the horn and update some baseball from today already. It's Washington leading Pittsburgh 2-1. That's in the fifth. And Colorado over the Phillies 3-0 in the second. Baltimore, which is becoming a pain in everybody's butt, 3-0 on the Blue Jays. Now, how do you figure? Of course, the game's not over, but the Blue Jays just go into the Yankees' backyard and just whip the Yankees. Here is my note of the night. That was the first 4-game sweep at home of the Yankees in which the Yankees never led in any game in the 4 games. If I heard it right, I think they said since 1918 or something like that. Yankees never led a game in that series against the Blue Jays, and they were swept at home. Speaking of, Yankees and Mets are having a little Subway Series this weekend. It's important for both of these teams trying to make the playoffs as wild cards. Yankees are up 2-1 in the second. Cleveland with a 2-1 lead on Milwaukee. Tampa Bay and Detroit are scoreless in the third. It was San Francisco beating the Cubs 6-1. Braves have a 2-0 lead. Make that it. Miami has a 2-0 lead on the Braves after 2. And that's it for the games that are in action tonight. And that's a look at Around the Horn here on Sports Talk. Of course, Around the Horn brought to you every night throughout the rest of the baseball season by Alex Satterfield and Buddy Bridges, Farm Bureau Insurance in Irmo and Lawrence, respectively, or Clinton. No, Lawrence and Clinton, respectively, Irmo and Columbia. Make sure you get in touch with those guys. Great guys. We appreciate them being a part of Sports Talk. Couple of quick notes to pass along in our final minutes. Georgia may have a backup quarterback starting tomorrow against UAB because word coming out of Georgia is the injury to Daniels, JT Daniels, is enough to keep him sidelined, though they're not reporting him being definitely out at this point, but it could be Carson Beck or Stetson Bennett as your starting quarterback. Former Clemson outfielder first baseman Seth Beer being called up by the Diamondbacks. He'll join them in Seattle tonight where they open a 3-game series. The Texans officially ruled out former Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson for Sunday's opener versus Jacksonville. And my thought on Tampa-Dallas, here's my thought from last night. If I'm a coach and I've got to kick off to Tom Brady with a minute to go, I'm onside kicking. I'm taking my chances of recovering that versus giving him the football. What do you think of that strategy? Don't forget the scoreboard tonight at 10:05. Thank you, Pat. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you later tonight on the scoreboard.
Someone will be right with you. The point.